Hey everyone, back here at the 2020 NFL Combine here in Indianapolis, and we've got a man here that's going to be on NFL Network the whole time, and I'm talking prime time from sun up to sundown. It's Daniel Jeremiah. He's one of the draft experts with NFL Network, and let's go right into the draft and what we're really here for, quarterbacks. It seems every year it's always a big talking point. This year it's the nine-inch hands by Joe Burrow, and there's a lot of people that think that he's the consensus number one overall pick to the Cincinnati Bengals. How do you see it?
I do. I think he's the consensus, and I think you factor in a little bit of Tua's injury with that. It makes it to me really clear. Even if Tua was totally healthy, I still have him as the top quarterback. So, Burrow does not have a huge arm, and if you're going to list the positives and the negatives, that's it. That's the negative. That's it. Yeah. Because in terms of pocket awareness, accuracy, poise, decision making, the kid's off the charts. And then when you meet with him, I mean, you saw his tweet after the hand thing. Yeah. Like he's got a swagger about him that's not. Sometimes those confident kids that can kind of rub you the wrong way. This kid's like, dude, I would play with that dude.
How about his mobility? I know that if you had to put them up together, people would probably say, well, Tua's probably a little bit more athletic. But Joe shows that he can run and he can avoid some pressure. How do people see his athleticism?
See, I would actually flip it. I would say I think Burrow is more athletic. And Burrow is, this is an all-state basketball player. And when you watch him, the thing about him, talk about pocket feel and pocket awareness and being able to escape, there's those guys that kind of there's a hesitation of, do I take it? If he sees yards, he takes it. He does not hesitate. He will go. And when you talk to guys that have played against him, you hear the same thing over and over again. Gosh, we kind of underestimated, how that guy can move around, and doing it in the 2 playoff games again with a lot of speed on the field. He's pretty athletic.
With the Minnesota Vikings having Kirk Cousins under contract for just one more year as of right now, there's maybe some thoughts out there that the Vikings, later in the rounds or maybe mid-rounds, look at the quarterback of the future. You think they can find somebody like that in this draft and be the quarterback for the next few years?
James Morgan, and we talked about him a little bit off air, is to me a really intriguing player out of Florida International. And he went down to the East-West Shrine Game and was clearly the top quarterback down there. He's got the 6'4", 220-plus pound size that you like. He can move around a little bit. Had a knee injury, and one of the things, getting into the weeds, but just some of his weight transfer stuff wasn't as good. And then when you start learning more about the knee, you're like, okay, that makes sense. Once he's totally healthy, I think this kid's got some real upside. And you talk with the coaches that coached him down there, and they said, look, and it's not a big playbook, but he swallowed it immediately and showed some real leadership, was a captain in that game. So every year you try and find your guy, your day 3 quarterback that's got a chance. To me, it's him this year.
Yeah, and the other thing about him is he started his career in Bowling Green and then played 2 years there, went to FIU. So maybe you're showing a little bit of this mental acumen that you can pick up 2 different playbooks and be, successful at 2 different programs. So that's quarterbacks. Now, at 25, where the Vikings are with their first-round draft pick, seems like there's going to be some need at corner. It seems like we draft a corner almost every year. But you know how this league is. You need lots of nickels. You need lots of secondary players. Anybody that's going to be down at 25 that the Vikings could be looking at, because there could be a run of, potentially 3 or 4 corners that get taken before 25.
Yeah, I think you could see it. I mean, teams trying to find tackles and corners. Now, the interesting thing is, I think tackles, because it's a little smaller supply, you'll see those guys really run off the board. Yeah. With corners, we have some depth this year. So even in rounds 2 and 3, I think you'll find good players. So, like at 25, a guy to keep an eye on is Damon Arnett from Ohio State, and he's ultra twitched up. Yeah. And he's tough. So he you look at Zimmer and what he covets, and he has some of those qualities to him. I could see that being a fit. He's a tiny bit tight. But I think also he could be a big nickel in there as well. So he's got some versatility. You
know why I love that? Because I've been talking about Damon Arnett
for
the last couple of days, just because I think availability of where he ranks. And like you were saying, he's twitchy. Yep. He's aggressive. He looks like he's one of these guys that carries a lot of swagger. Yes. And, if you're a defensive-minded coach and you're looking for a guy that's going to have a little more oomph on the outside, maybe not as technically sound as some of those other guys, but sometimes attitude matters in this league.
If you go back, and I'll do this all the time, go back and find the guys you missed, and then I try and find the traits that were lacking, and why didn't this guy hit? And with corners, it's 2 things. Number 1, they can't play the ball down the field, and that doesn't change. If you can't play the ball down the field in college, you're not going to be able to play the ball down the field in the NFL. And number 2 is they didn't have an edge. So if you don't have an edge, you can't play the ball, you got no chance. And this kid does both those things very well.
All right, last one for you. I don't know if you've put out another mock draft yet. It's coming.
Right
Okay.
after the
So the
combine.
last one you put out, you put the Vikings potentially looking at Javon Kinlaw, the defensive tackle. Now it's an interesting pick because I also think that, hey, how can you help out your secondary? Well, have a guy that can get after the quarterback. What do you like about Javon?
Well, he's no chance he's going to be there, so he's going to be long gone. He's like my 7th overall player. Let's go. Let's show you how the sausage is made here, real quick, on these mock draft. So Smarty Pants over here sends in this mock draft, and you're kind of going off your list of your ranking, and you're looking at needs, and you're crossing off guys. Well, every now and then one slips through. So I sent it in, and I get a note back from the editor. He goes, "Hey, you don't think Jerry Jeudy's going in the first round?" And I go, what? This guy'd move guys around, and somehow I'd left Judy out. So I was like, oh, crap, I don't want to do this whole thing over again. So Kinlaw was one of the guys I had to kind of maneuver to get around to get Judy back into the draft. And so I was like, maybe they won't really notice. There's no way Kinlaw's going to be there when the Vikings pick, but we'll get through this first one. We'll pick it up on the next one.
I love it. I think it's fascinating how you guys put it all together. Thanks for your time, man. Always an expert on everything. Very insightful. You can catch him on Twitter at Move the Sticks. So that's Move the Sticks on Twitter. And then NFL Network. You guys are going to be on all day long, prime time and everything. It's gonna be awesome. Thanks for being on.
I appreciate it. I've told everybody we were on for 28 hours. I found out it's only 26. So I got like 2 hours off now. I'm good.
Yeah, you get a break.
Yeah, it's easy.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.